while in the mailroom, and eventually uh, I moved into being an assistant for one of the groups, one of the asset-based lending groups, and I was assistant there. And I had an incredible couple of bosses, and uh, they kind of took me under their wings. They didn't have to, but one of them actually looked at me and he said, I see you're failing upwards and you're going to continue to fail upwards. And I always took that as an insult, until I realized later on in my career that he was actually seeing something in me that everybody else wasn't, because everybody else was like, you have to have this diploma on the wall and a degree and all this thing to be able to have these positions that we all like, to have your own corner office. And I was the guy who came with zero university background. I barely almost graduated high school. And I somehow managed to start climbing myself up. I went from the mailroom to being an assistant, from an assistant to a junior designer, from a junior graphic designer to a senior graphic designer. And then by the end of it, I was pretty much the creative director for this Foothill group that eventually got bought out by Wells Fargo. And I did all of that, elevated my entire career from the mailroom up with no degree, no schooling, no nothing, all just self-taught, which is the same thing that happened to me with street art and the art career, which we'll get to in a second. I'm taking the long journey. We're taking the PCH down all the way down to today. So it was an incredible journey, and I learned a lot during my time at Wells Fargo on the marketing group, because it was very much in the circle, right? You're an artist, somebody who wants to work and be creative and be all over the place, but they kind of put you here, and they tell you, Wells Fargo has all these strict rules about the logo should always be up in the top right corner with this, and 5 centimeters from the corner or whatever it may be. And it really constrains your creativity. But I managed and was able to achieve some great things. And unfortunately for me, in 2008, the economy tanked, as we all remembered, and I got laid off, and we were living in New York. So it was one of those, like, do we go back to LA and move in with my parents, or do we go try Sweden? And again, one of those things where stars aligned, because I got laid off right at the same time that my wife was graduating from the university in New York studying fashion. And we said, let's just go and try Sweden. So we hopped over to Sweden, and I literally tried to get a graphic design job with almost every advertising agency here, and knocking door to door and being like, hey, used to work at Wells Fargo, can you hire me? And everybody was like, do you speak Swedish? And I was like, no, I just moved here like 2 weeks ago. They're like, well, I'm sorry, all of our this is how they talk, by the way. They actually do sound like Swedish chef. No, but it was very much kind of like, if you can't write or read in Swedish, we can't hire you. All the ads are in Swedish. And my wife, being the amazing human being that she is, kind of said, look, I see talent in you. I know you're an artist by heart. Go try your art career for like 6 months. And if in 6 months it doesn't take off, you don't get anywhere with it, at least you have learned the language by then. She had no understanding of how ADD I am. And she said, give it 6 months. And that was 13 years ago.